Do you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders? Do you incessantly seek a philosophy, a guide, that brings not only solace, but tangible results in your journey? Many find refuge in the words of the ancient Stoics, learning about acceptance, resilience, and the control of the mind over external circumstances. It is a noble philosophy, without a doubt. But today, here at Pragmatic Thinking, I want to propose a different reflection. Is Stoic acceptance by itself enough to build the life you truly desire? A life not just of resistance, but of progress, of active peace, of practical success? What if there was a complementary approach, perhaps even more effective for the modern world, focused not only on enduring, but on acting intelligently and purposefully? Today we will explore the deep waters of Stoicism and Pragmatic Thinking, not to declare an absolute winner, but to understand their nuances, their strengths, and, crucially, why we believe that pragmatism, this philosophy of effective action, of focus on what works in practice, has been the silent key for those who achieve mental clarity, prosperity, and lasting peace. If you are seeking more than just inner serenity, if you also aim to build, achieve, and live a lighter life, free from the weights that do not serve a practical purpose, stay with us. Today's journey may illuminate the path. Think for a moment of two travelers facing a torrential river. A bridge that existed there was swept away by the current. The first traveler, inspired by Stoic ideals, sits on the bank. He contemplates the force of nature, the impermanence of things. He accepts that the bridge is gone, that his original plan was frustrated by forces beyond his control. He seeks virtue in acceptance, in serenity in the face of the obstacle. He does not despair. He does not complain. He finds peace in the understanding that he does not control the river or the bridge. The second traveler, guided by pragmatic thinking, also observes the river. He recognizes the situation, the destroyed bridge, the force of nature. He also does not waste time in useless lamentations, but his mind does not stop at acceptance. It asks, what is the goal? To cross the river. What is under my practical control now? My legs, my ability to observe, to seek alternatives. He begins to walk along the bank, looking for a shallower stretch, for logs that can serve as an improvised bridge, for someone with a boat. He does not deny the reality of the obstacle, but his focus is on the practical solution, on the action that brings him closer to his real goal. He may not find the ideal solution. He may need to go a longer way around. He may need to wait. But his energy is channeled towards what can be done, towards what works to get to the other side. Both travelers face the same reality. One focuses on the virtue of internal acceptance. The other focuses on the effectiveness of external action based on the present reality. This simple allegory begins to draw the fundamental difference that we will explore today, the difference between accepting the world as it is and acting pragmatically within this world to achieve your goals. Let's dive into the key points that distinguish these two powerful philosophies and understand why pragmatic thinking proves so potent for real life. First point, the main focus, internal virtue versus practical results. The heart of Stoicism lies in the pursuit of virtue and the tranquility of the soul, ataraxia. The greater good is to live in accordance with reason and nature, cultivating qualities such as courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. External circumstances, wealth, health, reputation, are considered indifferent, things that do not affect true happiness, which is internal. The focus is on our judgment about events, not on the events themselves. Accepting what we cannot control is fundamental. Pragmatic thinking, on the other hand, although it does not despise virtue or inner peace, has its primary focus on effectiveness and results in the real world. The central question is not just, how can I be virtuous in the face of this, but rather, what works to solve this problem or achieve this goal? The pragmatist evaluates ideas, beliefs, and actions based on their practical consequences. If something consistently leads to desired results, whether mental peace, financial success, better relationships, completion of a project, then it is considered valid and useful. The focus is on intelligent action that produces the desired effect. Peace and satisfaction are often byproducts of acting effectively and solving concrete problems, of eliminating weights that hinder progress. Why is this difference crucial? Because while the Stoic can find peace by accepting a difficult situation, the pragmatist actively seeks to change the difficult situation, if that is possible and desirable. He does not cling to abstract ideals if they do not produce concrete results. He tests, adapts, acts. This does not mean a lack of ethics, but rather a channeling of energy towards what can be done, towards what brings measurable progress towards a life that is more functional and aligned with your practical goals. Pragmatism teaches us to let go of the need to be right philosophically and focus on being effective in practice. Second point, dealing with emotions, selective indifference versus action-focused management. Stoicism teaches to cultivate a certain indifference, apatheia, towards disturbing passions and emotions. Negative emotions, such as fear, anger, or deep sadness, are seen as the result of erroneous judgments about what is good or bad. The ideal is to achieve a state of serenity where emotions do not dominate us. This is done through reason, recognizing what is and what is not under our control, and accepting the latter. Pragmatic thinking approaches emotions in a different way. It does not necessarily seek indifference, but the intelligent management of emotions for the sake of a goal. Emotions are recognized as signals, information about our internal state and our interaction with the world. The pragmatic question is not, how can I not feel this? But rather, what is this emotion telling me? And how can I use this information or manage this emotion to act more effectively? If I feel fear, the pragmatist does not just seek to suppress it stoically, but asks, is this fear based on a real risk? If so, what practical action can I take to mitigate the risk? If not, how can I redirect my mental energy to the task at hand? If I feel frustration, the question is, what is blocking my progress? What practical adjustment can I make to my approach? Pragmatic mental peace does not come from the absence of emotions, but from confidence in one's own ability to deal with them and with the situations that cause them. It comes from knowing that regardless of what you feel, you can choose a constructive action. It is a peace that is born of competence and focused action, not just passive acceptance. It's about using emotions as fuel or as data, instead of allowing them to become paralyzing obstacles. It's about silently eliminating unproductive rumination and focusing on the next useful action. Third point, the approach to external events, passive acceptance versus active adaptation and practical control. One of the pillars of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control, focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, judgments, actions, and accepting what we cannot, external events, actions of other people, the past, the uncertain future. It is a powerful tool for reducing anxiety and frustration. Pragmatic thinking agrees with the importance of distinguishing the controllable from the uncontrollable. However, it goes one step further. Instead of just passively accepting the uncontrollable, the pragmatist actively seeks to identify niches of control or influence within what seems uncontrollable. He asks, given that this external situation exists and I cannot change it directly, what is my best practical response? How can I adapt? What resources can I use? What actions within this situation are under my control and will lead me to a better result? Imagine an economic crisis, something largely uncontrollable for an individual. The Stoic would focus on maintaining inner calm, not despairing, accepting the new reality. The pragmatist, doing this too, would immediately ask, okay, this is the scenario. What can I do now? Can I cut expenses? Can I seek new sources of income? Can I acquire new skills that are valuable in this new scenario? Can I renegotiate debts? Pragmatism is inherently adaptive. It does not settle for accepting the status quo if there is a practical way to navigate or improve the situation, even if marginally. It seeks effective action within the existing constraints. It is this constant search for what works now here that often leads to prosperity and success, even in difficult times. It is the mentality of the traveler who seeks a way to go around the river, instead of just accepting that the bridge has fallen. It is to focus tirelessly on what is under your practical control and let go of the rest, not out of resignation, but out of efficiency. Fourth point, The definition of good life: living virtuously versus living effectively with lightness. For Stoicism, the good life, eudaimonia, is achieved through virtue and reason. It is an internal state, independent of external circumstances. The ultimate goal is moral excellence and the peace that comes from it. For pragmatic thinking, the definition of good life is more flexible and oriented towards the concrete experience of the individual. A good life is often associated with a life that works well in practice. This may include mental peace, yes, but also health, satisfying relationships, the ability to achieve meaningful goals, financial security, and a general sense of lightness, the absence of unnecessary weights, be they mental, emotional, or material. The pragmatist does not just ask, am I being virtuous, but also, is this serving me, this belief, this habit, this relationship, this job? Is it contributing to a life that is more functional, lighter, more aligned with what I consider important in practice? If the answer is no, the pragmatist seeks, silently and methodically, to adjust, eliminate, or replace what is not working. This approach allows for a greater personalization of the good life. What works for one person may not work for another. Pragmatism encourages experimentation, careful observation of the consequences of our actions and beliefs, and the courage to change what is not producing the desired results. The goal is not to adhere to a rigid philosophical ideal, but to build, step by step, an existence that is sustainable, satisfying, and effective in the context of your reality. It is the incessant search for clarity of what really matters and the pragmatic elimination of the rest. So, Stoicism or pragmatism? The truth, as often happens, is not an exclusive binary choice. Stoicism offers invaluable tools for inner resilience, for the acceptance of the inevitable, for the strengthening of character. It teaches us to be less reactive, more centered. However, pragmatic thinking calls us to action. It reminds us that life is not just to be endured, but to be lived, built, optimized. It empowers us to focus on results, to be problem solvers, to adapt our approach based on what works in the real world. It teaches us the art of silently eliminating everything that weighs us down and does not contribute to our practical goals, be they peace, success, or simply a lighter life. Pragmatism does not deny the importance of the mind, but sees it as a tool for effective action. Pragmatic peace is not just the absence of disturbance, but the confidence that comes from knowing that you are actively building a life that works, that you are focused on the essential, on what is under your practical control. Perhaps the most powerful approach is to integrate the wisdom of both. Use stoic resilience to face what cannot be changed, and pragmatic intelligence to change everything that can be improved through focused and effective action. Start today. Look at a challenge in your life. Ask yourself not just, how can I accept this, but what is the most practical and effective action I can take now, even if small, to improve this situation or get closer to my goal? Start silently eliminating the beliefs, habits, obligations that do not serve a practical purpose in your search for clarity and lightness. Focus your energy on what produces tangible results. Test, observe, adjust. Build your peace not only in acceptance, but in intelligent action. This is the essence of pragmatic thinking, a philosophy for those who want not only to contemplate the world, but to shape their own experience within it, with calm, clarity, and effectiveness. If this reflection has brought some light to your path, if it has awakened in you the desire to act with more focus and pragmatism, consider subscribing to the Pragmatic Thinking channel. We seek to share ideas that help navigate life with more clarity and less weight. Activate notifications so you don't miss our next videos, where we will continue to explore paths to a more focused mind and a lighter life. And if this content was helpful to you, if it resonated in any way, leave a comment below with the word gratitude. Knowing that we are contributing, even if in a small way, motivates us to continue. Also, explore other videos here on the channel. We have many other reflections on how to apply practical thinking in your daily life. Remember, real life demands real answers. Pragmatic thinking offers the tools to find them. Until the next reflection,